What's up, guys? Welcome to March 10th as we dive into Numbers chapter 32. The tribes of Reuben and Gad owned vast numbers of livestock. So when they saw that the lands of Jazer and Gilead were ideally suited for their flocks and herds, they came to Moses, Eleazar the priest, and the other leaders of the community. They said, "Notice the towns of Ataroth, Daban, Jazer, Nimrah, Heshbon, Eliathah, Sibmah, Debo, and Benon. The Lord had conquered this whole area for the community of Israel, and it is ideally suited for all our livestock. If we have found favor with you, please let us have this land as our property instead of giving us land across the Jordan River. Do you intend to stay here while your brothers go across and do all the fighting?" Moses asked the men of Gad and Reuben, "Why do you want to discourage the rest of the people of Israel from going across the land to the land the Lord has given them? Your ancestors did the same thing when I sent them from Kadesh Barnea to explore the land. After they went up to the valley of Eshcol and explored the land, they discouraged the people of Israel from entering the land the Lord was giving them. Then the Lord was very angry with them, and he vowed, Of all those I rescued from Egypt, no one who is 20 years old or older will ever see the land I swore to give to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, for they have not obeyed me wholeheartedly. The only exceptions are Caleb, son of Jephunneh the Kenizzite, and Joshua, son of Nun, for they have wholeheartedly followed the Lord. The Lord was very angry when Israel and made them wander in the wilderness for 40 years until the entire generation that sinned in the Lord's sight had died. But here you are, a brood of sinners, doing exactly the same thing. You are making the Lord even angrier with Israel. If you turn away from him like this and he abandons them in the wilderness, you will be responsible for destroying this entire nation." But they approached Moses and said, "We simply want to build pens for our livestock and fortified towns for our wives and children. Then we will arm ourselves and lead our fellow Israelites into battle until we have brought them safely to their land. Meanwhile, our families will stay in the fortified towns we build here, so they will be safe from any attacks by the local people. We will not return to our homes until all the people of Israel have received their portions of land, but we do not claim any of the land on the other side of the Jordan. We would rather live here on the east side and accept this as our grant of land." Then Moses said, "If you keep your word and arm yourself for the Lord's battle, and if your troops cross the Jordan and keep fighting until the Lord has driven out his enemies, then you may return when the Lord has conquered the land. You will have fulfilled your duty to the Lord and to the rest of the people of Israel, and the land on the east side of the Jordan will be your property from the Lord. But if you fail to keep your words, then you will have sinned against the Lord, and you will be sure that your sin will find you out. Go ahead and build towns for your families, and pens for your flocks, and do everything you have promised." Then the men of Gad and Reuben replied, "We, your servants, will follow your instructions exactly. Our children, wives, flocks, and cattle will stay here in the towns of Gilead, but all who are able to bear arms will cross over to fight for the Lord, just as you have said." So Moses gave order to Eleazar the priest, Joshua son of Nun, and the leaders of the clans of Israel. He said, "The men of Gad and Reuben who are armed for battle must cross the Jordan with you to fight for the Lord. If they do, give them the land of Gilead as their property. When the land is conquered, but if they refuse to arm themselves and cross over with you, then they must accept land with the rest of you in the land of Canaan. The tribes of Gad and Reuben said again, We are your servants, and we will do as the Lord had commanded. We will cross the Jordan into Canaan, fully armed and to fight for the Lord, but our property will be here, on this side of the Jordan. So Moses assigned land to the tribes of Reuben and Gad, and half of tribe of Manasseh, son of Joseph. He gave the territory of King Sihon of the Amorites and the land of King Og of Bashan, the whole land with its cities and surrounding lands. The descendants of Gad built towns of Daban, Ataroth, Ariel, Atroth, Shaphan, Jazeera, Jogbala, Beth Nimrah, and Beth Haran. These were all fortified towns with pens for their flocks. The descendants of Reuben built the towns of Shabam, Eliah, Kiriathim, Naban, Baal-meon, and Sabmah. They changed the names of some of the towns they conquered and rebuilt. Then the descendants of Machir of the tribe of Manasseh went to Gilead and conquered it, and they drove out the Amorites living there. So Moses gave Gilead to the Machirites, descendants of Manasseh, and they settled there. The people of Jair, another clan of the tribe of tribe of Manasseh, captured many of the towns in Gilead and changed the names of that region to the towns of Jair. Meanwhile, a man named Nobab captured the town of Kanath and its surrounding villages, and he named the area Nobab after himself. Chapter 33. This is the route the Israelites followed as they marched out of Egypt under the leadership of Moses and Aaron. As the Lord's instruction, Moses kept a written record of their progress. These are the stages of their march, identified by the different places where they have stopped along the way. They set out from the city of Ramesses in early spring on the 15th day of the first month, on the morning after the first Passover celebration. The people of Israel left defiantly in full view of all the Egyptians. Meanwhile, the Egyptians were burying all their firstborn sons whom the Lord had killed the night before. The Lord had defeated the gods of Egypt that night with great acts of judgment. After leaving Ramesses, the Israelites set up camp at Succoth. After they left Succoth and camped at Etham at the edge of the wilderness, they left Etham and turned back toward Pi-Hahiroth, opposite Baal-Zephon, and camped near Migdol. They left Pi-Hahiroth and crossed the Red Sea into the wilderness beyond. Then they traveled for 3 days into the Etham wilderness and camped at Morah. They left Morah and camped at Elim, where there were 12 springs of water and 70 palm trees. They left Elim and camped beside the Red Sea. They left the Red Sea and camped in the wilderness of Sin. They left the wilderness of Sin and camped at Dovka. They left Dovka and camped at Alash. They left Alash and camped at Rephidim, where there were no water for the people to drink. They left Rephidim and camped in the wilderness of Sinai. They left the wilderness of Sinai and camped at Kabroth Hatava. They left Kabroth Hatava and camped at Hazeroth. They left Hazeroth and camped at Rithmah. They left Rithmah and camped at Rimmon Perez. They left Rimmon Perez and camped at Libnah. They left Libnah and camped at Rixah. They left Rissah and camped at Kahalatha. They left Kahalatha and camped at Mount Shepherd. They left Mount Sephar and camped at Harada. They left Mount Harada. They left Harada and camped at Meghalath. They left Meghalath and camped at Tahath. They left Tahath and camped at Tarah. They left Tarah and camped at Mithka. They left Mithka and camped at Hashmanan. They left Hashmanan and camped at Masarath. They left Masarath and camped at Bene-Jakin. They left Bene-Jakin and camped at Hor Haggadah. They left Hor Haggad and camped at Jotbatha. They left Jotbatha and camped at Abrana. They left Abrana and camped at Elzion Gubber. They left Elzion Gubber and camped at Kadesh in the wilderness of Zin. They left Kadesh and camped at Mount Hor at the borders of Edom. While they were on the foot of the Mount of Hor, Aaron the priest was directed by the Lord to go up the mountain, and there he died. This happened in midsummer on the first day of 5th month of the 40th year after Israel's departure from Egypt. Aaron was 123 years old when he died there on Mount Hor. At that time, the Canaanite king of Arad, who lived in the Negev in the land of Canaan, heard the people of Israel were approaching his land. Meanwhile, the Israelites left Mount Hor and camped at Zamana. They left Zamana and camped at Panan. They left Panan and camped at Oboth. They left Oboth and camped at Abram at the border of Moab. They left Abra and camped at Debon-Gad. They left Debon-Gad and camped at Elmam Diblathim. They left Alma Diblathim and camped in the mountains east of the river near Mount Debo. They left the mountains east of the river and camped on the plains of Moab beside the Jordan River across from Jericho. Along the Jordan River they camped from Beth Jeshimoth as far as the meadows of Acacia on the plains of Moab. When they camped near the Jordan River on the plains of Moab opposite Jericho, the Lord said to Moses, "Give the following instructions to the people of Israel. When you cross the Jordan River into the land of Canaan, you must drive out all the people living there. You must destroy all their carved and molten images and demolish all the pagan shrines. Take possession of the land and settle in it, because I have given it to you to occupy. You must distribute the land among the clans by sacred lot and proportions to their size. A larger proportion of land will be allotted to each of the larger clans, and a smaller portion will be allotted to each of the smaller clans. The decision of the sacred lot is final. In this way, the portions of land will be divided among your ancestral tribes. But if you fail to drive out the people who live in the land, those who remain will be like splinters in your eyes and thorns in your sides. They will harass you in the land where you live, and I will do to you what I plan to do to them." And so that's the end for today. That was just a lot of names, to be honest. So there's not a whole lot to get out of, except for the part where in verse 55 of chapter 33, where God says, But if you do not fail to drive out the people who live in the land, those who remain will be like splinters in your eyes and thorns in your sides. they will harass you in the land where you live. It's like with that, it's like, for me, I think God is speaking more. I think it's more than just the actual action of driving people out of the land that they're about to occupy, but also it's like, as I'm trying to think modern time, it's another reason for why I think is like you can't go about intentionally living a sinful life and yet still be calling yourself a Christ follower, because like if you call yourself a Christ follower but you still hold on to what happened, but you still hold on to your past mistakes and stuff, you kind of like let those things be like the thorns of your life, and they could choke out the life that God has planned for you because you just hold on dear to them. But yeah, other than that, I don't have much else to say. Yeah, we're like 2 days away from the end of Numbers, so may you guys go and walk with God today.